Ian.
And what? We're live, bro.
That's it.
We're
Oh.
live. Yep. How's it going, everybody? That's Bet Big Brad right there. He was going to say something. What were you going to say there, Brad? Let's just get into it. What were you going to say there?
Nothing.
It sounded like you were going to say something.
No. I was about to give out Wilson's personal information.
Ooh, people would love that. It's Bet Big Brad, it's B1G Wilson, and myself. I am Kent from CasualBigTen. We are here to give you the Week 6 picks for Big Ten football. Wilson's getting pinged as we speak. Wilson, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right, man. How are you?
I couldn't ask for much more at the moment. I got my Luke Altmaier jersey hanging behind me right now. I'm about to rock that tonight on Locked On Spartans, Locked On Illini. I have been on Locked On Spartans too. Shout out Matt Sheehan. I've been on that show too. Brad, how are you doing? Did you watch the episodes that I was on Locked On Spartans?
I did, yeah.
Anything you want to say to Matt today?
Sup, Matt?
He's probably watching this, I would have to imagine. Right before we started, I was going to say recording, but we just live streamed this bad boy now. Wilson, you mentioned that MLB playoffs is happening, and it got me thinking, perfect games, baseball, but have you ever seen a quarterback throw a perfect game?
I have, actually. Old Kurt Warner, 10 for 10.
10 for 10.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever done? I don't think anyone's ever done more than that, right? That's got to be the record.
18 for 18. Goff beat Warner's record, but Goff still doesn't qualify for the completion percent record because that's 20 attempts that you have to have.
I feel like had the Lions and Ben Johnson known that, they would have thrown 2 more screen passes just to get the record.
Probably. He
I
played.
have to imagine.
Maybe that's what they were trying when he got that safety.
It's possible. It's possible, which, by the way, was not a safety. Like, what an effort on him to get out of the end zone there.
I'm a big Goff hater. Dude played well. Again, the Lions set himself up great for that, though, because we ran more than we passed. We can't have him out here throwing 50 times a game like he did against the Bucks, because that's how they lose.
That's true. Brad, you said before the Lions game that this was the game you were going to decide if you were a Jared Goff supporter or a hater. And just your thoughts on that, and then follow up, how's your lunch?
It's okay. I have to got to multitask here. Got a lot of things going on today. I called up Jared. I let him know that, hey, this is, for me personally, this is the game where I decide if I'm going to like you or not. So no pressure. And then he went out and performed.
It's a pretty awesome performance, I thought. Like, I've always been a big Jared Goff supporter, so it was nice for me to see that. But let's get into why we're here, though, guys. It's the Big Ten football season. We're heading into Week 6, and we are going to make some picks. But before we do that, we are going to look at what we did last week, and we're going to start with Wilson. Wilson, 6-13 last week. Yikes, you gave us, for locks, you gave us Michigan -9. That was a loss. Nebraska and Purdue over. That was a loss. And then, of course, Michigan State and Ohio State over. Loss. 0 for 3 on the locks last week. How are you feeling right now?
This is why I don't bet my real money. If we're being honest here, 2 of those should have been a win. The Michigan -9, they screwed me on that. That wasn't my fault. And then the Nebraska-Purdue, that was supposed to be a shootout, and you guys were like 15 or 17-10 in the fourth quarter. What's that stuff?
I have no idea.
It's not my fault.
It's interesting that you say Michigan should have covered 9 because all I read on Twitter was that Minnesota should have won that game. So I'm not really sure about that. What did you think about the onside kick offsides? That's a mouthful.
It was typical. Michigan got beat by the blue wall. That was a bad call.
Minnesota got beat by the blue wall, you mean?
Yeah, but the game should have never been to that position anyway. Sharon Moore is a bad coach.
So what
accusations.
is PJ Fleck also a bad coach in the first half then?
Yeah, he's just a bad coach in general as well. He's way too. He is just a Adderall fiend, is what he is.
Nothing wrong with
Yeah.
that.
Not
Yeah,
true.
they're
Disclaimer.
Nothing wrong with that. Brad, your picks from last week are now on the screen.
Oh yeah,
You went 7-12 last week.
yeah.
And your locks were also had that Nebraska Purdue over. You gave us Maryland +7, and then you also gave us your one lock win last week was Illinois +18. Your thoughts on the week in general? Again, 7-12.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a weird week. Like Wilson said, there were certain things that should have definitely happened that didn't happen, and that's going to throw some things off.
Okay. Did you watch the Illinois Penn State game? How do you think Illinois looked in that game? You didn't get a chance to watch that. Okay.
I was watching
Michigan State and Ohio
Michigan
State.
State
I
Ohio State
assume.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good
I only
stuff.
saw
Good
the
stuff.
fourth quarter.
All right, we'll pull up my picks now. I have 10-9 as my record. Just double checking here. I gave everybody last week Michigan and Minnesota over. That was a win. I gave Nebraska -10 versus Purdue. That was also a win. Lucky second half, I feel like, from Nebraska being able to score a lot of points there. And then I just kind of like went against the grain and did Penn State -18 just because I was getting so much hate from the Illinois people. I just kind of wanted to go against Illinois for a little bit. And that was a loss for me. But again, 10-9 on this on the season, I almost said, but it was on the week. That gave me a win. Wilson did send me money. He had thoughts. And first, Wilson, before you say whatever you were going to say, Brad has not sent me money yet. What do you think about that?
I think
I forgot.
Brad owes you $10 now.
No.
What's he owe me the other 5 for?
If he didn't pay you up for the previous week before we recorded, it doubles.
Oh, double it, baby.
No, it's by the end of the recording. Hold on.
Okay. What were you going to say, though, Wilson?
Nothing. I thought I was found an error in the scorecards, but I was mistaken.
Okay.
I'm impressed by you. That USC -16 pick you got that win for. That's all.
That was
probably the luckiest one of the weekend for me, Brad. I know you lost actual money on that, but that was some. I was actually cheering for you, even though I had the USC pick, because it was more important, I thought, for you to win actual money. And man, Wisconsin really just fell apart in the second half right there. That was just pitiful, absolutely pitiful. No thoughts on that? Okay, we'll bring up the. Oh, what?
I was gonna say not only that, but they jumped on USC early too. Two things that shouldn't have happened in that game happened.
Agree.
Anyway.
Agree. I have the overall records up now. Wilson, you still have a pretty commanding lead. You're up by 9 games in the win column. I'm Brad. You're 73-50. Brad is 64-58. And then I am at 63-60. The discrepancy in the loss column there is because Brad has an extra push on a lock that he made a couple weeks ago, in case anybody was wondering. Quickly, before we get into this week's picks, big shout out to Twitter user at Indiana Ayatollah, 14-5 this week. 14-5 from Twitter user Indiana Ayatollah. I think I said that right. His locks were Indiana -7, Illinois +18, and UCLA +24. Went 3 for 3 on his locks. Only missed 5 picks the whole weekend. Congratulations. You just received a shout out on Bet Big Wednesday edition. All right, let's get into this week's picks. Because my kids are going to be home in 20 minutes. It's early release day. So I got mine up first, so I'm going to go first. And I wanted to make notes about my reasonings for my locks, but I didn't. So I'm just going to give you guys my locks. My first pick, I'm going to go Nebraska, Rutgers, over 41.5 in that game. My thought here is that you guys had a Nebraska over last week. It did not hit. I didn't think either of you would pick this one. because you were mad about last week's. I don't know if you guys picked it, but you definitely didn't lock it. So I thought I could pick up an extra point here, and hopefully Nebraska can score a lot of points with Rutgers in this one. Brad, your thoughts about over 41.5 in this game?
I like it.
All right.
I like it. I can see that one being close, like a 24-21, something like that. I like it.
Okay. My next pick is Michigan plus 2.5 at Washington. I'm locking that in. I just think that this Michigan team, for whatever reason, I don't know why the sports books would do this, but they are getting disrespected. They're still the number one team in the country. I know that they have to travel a long way for this game, and Washington is not a slouch, but I have seen Washington lose to Washington State. I have seen Washington travel out to Rutgers and lose that game. I think Michigan is better than them. Wilson, I'm going to spoil something here. You also have this as a lock. Why did you pick it as a lock?
I don't think Washington is very good at all. And the only hesitation I have is I believe it's a night game out in Washington. And so there might be a little extra energy there, but from the Washington side. But Michigan should win this game by a touchdown, in my opinion.
I agree. Brad, did you have any thoughts on that one as well?
No, I can't figure out who Michigan wants to be, so I'm not messing around with any locks on that. But I did pick Michigan to win.
Okay. All right, my last lock of the week is going to be Indiana at Northwestern over 42. I did 2 overs as locks this week. Indiana averaging, it seems like 80 points a game. So I was hoping that if it's a blowout, maybe they'll do that again. And even if it's a close game, I know that Indiana can score a lot. And if it's a close game, that means Northwestern scoring a lot too. So I'm going to lock in that over 42. Wilson, we'll go back to you. Your thoughts on that one?
I thought that was a hard over-under. Like you said, Indiana can score that by themselves, but Northwestern can't score at all. And so it really depends on how well Northwestern's defense is playing that day on if that over-under hits. I think I also went over, but not one of my locks.
Like, I felt like on this pick, I'm either going to get this right or I'm going to get it wrong by a lot. Like, it's going to be like 17-0 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, like, I guess I just went with the side that I think I'm going to be right. I don't know. But I totally understand what you're saying. We'll go on to the next picks, though. And next up, we have Wilson. Wilson, give us your locks for this week.
Yeah, just give me a second. Got to wait for it to pop up here.
Okay, well, you could start with the Michigan one. We already talked about that.
Yeah, so nothing really new to say on that one. I locked on Michigan, minus 2.5. I think they should win outright. I think my second lock was the IU minus 13.5 versus Northwestern. Similar to what we just talked about, Indiana can score a lot. Northwestern can't score. So I can see this being, a 35-7 type game. And then my last lock was the Rutgers +7 against Nebraska. And the main reason I picked this one is because I could not find another good lock on for this week. So this was kind of like the last one I had to pick. But Rutgers has been playing well, all close games. So we'll take Rutgers and those 7 points, and hopefully they can keep it going. And Nebraska kind of soured me a little bit last week.
Yeah, I kind of on that specific pick. I don't hate your other ones. Obviously, I have Michigan too, but then Indiana, I like that pick. I also have that, and I thought about locking it as well. So I agree with you on that one. The Nebraska one, I actually kind of agree with you with Rutgers because they're playing so well. The only thing that gives me a little bit of pause is like when I saw them play last week, they are good. It's just I don't know how they're going to travel to like a pretty raucous Nebraska environment. They are at Nebraska, right? Yeah, they
Yes.
are. They are, for sure. I don't know why I asked you guys. And they benefited from a lot of Washington mistakes last week. Like, everything kind of felt like it was going Rutgers' way, and I feel like I'm trying to do – I kind of talked about this with one of my other picks, but I'm trying to do what everybody else isn't doing, and I'm just going to take Nebraska to win by a lot in this one. So, like, I think Nebraska could win by 10. Sorry, Rutgers fan. I want my heart is picking Rutgers. I want Rutgers to win, nothing against Nebraska. I just love seeing like a Rutgers undefeated team. So like I want them to win, but I am going to go with Nebraska on this one. Brad, what'd you do on that
What did I do?
specific one? Do you remember?
I've got Rutgers as well. Same
Okay.
reasonings. Exactly what you said.
And honestly, I think the reason I picked that game as my last pick is I looked at the lines on ESPN and then I saw it was 6.5 instead of 7. So I was like, oh, I'll just take that extra half point.
Fair.
That was the only logic behind it.
Fair. Nothing wrong with that. All right, Brad, got your picks up on the screen now. What you got for locks this week? What are you locking in?
I don't remember, actually.
Okay. Would you like to know?
I remember my first two. I'm going with the points. I'm going with the big points.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel any blowouts this week. I don't see it happening. I'm locking in Michigan State plus the 24. Michigan State was a few mistakes away from making that Ohio State game much more respectable. I think Ohio State's defense is way better than Oregon's defense. So I think Michigan State is going to be able to put up some points. I'm not saying they can keep up with Oregon or win that game. I'm saying that they can keep it within 24.
Fair. I like that. I picked Michigan State as well, so I like that. I think we all had Michigan State.
Yes, I think I also picked Michigan State. Similar reasons as Brad.
I'm also locking in UCLA plus 28. That's a lot of points. I understand where UCLA is, but they've hung around with LSU. They hung around with Oregon. And Penn State doesn't look like they're beating anyone by 28 this year. They should have beat Illinois by 28.
You think? No, well, Illinois is not on UCLA's level.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
But I'm saying UCLA can hang around enough, and Penn State hasn't been blowing people out or putting up a ton of points. So 28 is a big number.
It is. That's a fair point. I took Penn State because I just think that, in my power rankings, I have UCLA as the 18th best Big Ten team, and that's good for last place, and I have Penn State at number 2. So I'd like to think that the number 2 team could beat the worst team in the conference by 7 touchdowns. That's what I'd like to think. But like you said, I go back to something you said. You know where LA is or UCLA is. It's in LA. They're out there with USC.
Right.
And
we're excited. We're excited to play football.
They are excited. They are excited about this game. And any questions?
Oh
no?
gosh.
Okay. Your last pick, by the way, just in case you forgot, was Wisconsin, Purdue under 45.5.
Yes, I did forget that.
Could you, if you don't mind, could you just say that you're locking in that pick so that when I make the video, no, because I got to make the video for tomorrow for our locks, and I got to clip you saying it. So again, it's Wisconsin, Purdue under 45.5. Ready, go.
All right, I'm going Wisconsin and Purdue. I'm taking the under 45.5. I'm not seeing a lot of points in this game. I actually don't have a good feel about this at all. I changed my third lock 3 times before I submitted it. That's why I didn't even remember what it was. I just don't think Purdue is going to put up a lot of points, and Wisconsin is Jekyll and Hyde. I can see it being under 45.5.
I thought you were going to give a score there. I thought you were really going to give a score there. The thing is, you can never be wrong about picking against Purdue or picking an under in a Purdue game because, they're so bad. They're so, they might not score this weekend.
Right.
So, if you're picking an under, you're basically saying, hey, I think that Wisconsin's going to be the only one to score, and I don't think that they're going to score 46.
Yeah.
And that's a good pick, brother. That's a good pick.
Thank you.
If you ask me.
Hot damn.
It says that there's 100 people watching on Twitter right now. I don't know if that's factual, but
that's too many.
Shout out to everybody that is watching. And if you don't mind, if you're on Twitter, I would love if you're watching this live to just jump over to switch apps real quick. Go to YouTube, type in Casual Big Ten, and hit subscribe. That would be helpful for my brand. You know what I'm saying? Just a couple more subscribers here and there.
Someone's thirsty.
Why not ask for it though, right?
Sure,
You
yeah.
want people to do something, you just ask for it. Man, side note, because I know we said we got till 2:00. Like that's where I got you guys locked in at, by the way. So I got 9 more minutes with you.
Oh, I was ready to go.
No, nope. You said
Okay.
1:30 to 2.
That's what Wilson said.
Okay. Do you need to go?
No, it's fine. But I've got a hard stop, as they call it. A hard stop at 2.
I got a bone to pick with you, though, Kent.
Let's pick a bone real quick.
Your snooze of the week is a Friday night game, Michigan State at Oregon.
Yeah.
I explain the logic behind that, as that being your snooze of the week versus, say, a UCLA at Penn State at noon.
Okay. It starts out with the timing of the game. The game is at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's a 24-point spread. So like it's already a late game. So like who's gonna stay up like super late on the East Coast and watch, somebody get blown out? That's what Vegas is saying, is that it's gonna be a 3-touchdown game. No one's gonna stay up for that, right?
Counterpoint.
It's multiple. I said that in the video, by the way. I said that it's literally because of the timing of it, like it's on late.
But you're also a Central Time guy, spoiler alert.
I'm watching the game.
And second off, a Friday night game atmosphere better than a noon game atmosphere. And it's also Oregon's home Big Ten opener ever.
Yeah. They got some dope jerseys, too. They're wearing some dope jerseys.
Yeah. This game's going to be good. This game will be better than the Ohio State-Michigan State game.
Which jerseys are you referring to? Because those black ones they're saving for Ohio State, I believe.
They're yellow, I think. They're yellow and black.
Yeah, Oregon's.
Yeah.
They always got nice uniform combos. Yeah, I only had 3 snoozes for the whole week, because that's actually what I was getting ready to say, is that all the games this week I'm very excited about. So like it was really hard for me to pick any snoozes, and I picked 3. And it was I thought that what's up?
You don't have to pick a snooze though. Like if they're all hot games and they're all boozers.
That kind of defeats the purpose of the video though. It's called snooze or booze.
They're all exciting then. I don't know. If it's the only Friday game though, I'm going with Wilson on this one.
That's a fair argument. Wilson, do you mind if I run by my snoozes and boozes with you before I make the videos going forward?
No, I would prefer you not to do that.
So you would rather just like wait for it to come out and then complain about it?
Yes, exactly.
That's actually that's a good point. I actually like that better too. That's more fun for me as well.
Yes.
I mean, I hear you. Like, I said that Penn State and UCLA is a snooze as well. So like we're picking the lesser of 2 evils at this point.
Yes.
So I went with the one that was on later. Like I feel like fewer people are going to watch that game. Although the Friday night games have been money though.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe that was a miss for me, and I apologize to all the Oregon and Michigan State fans out there. All 17 of them that saw my video. What's up?
What was your third snooze? I didn't see it this week for some reason. It didn't pop up.
I think it was Wisconsin and Purdue.
Okay, that was gonna be my. It had to be. It had to be that game. If not, I was gonna say something.
Yeah. Well, like everything else, like, Ohio State, Iowa, I'm excited about that. Nebraska, Rutgers is my game of the week. So Washington, Michigan, good game. USC, Minnesota. I guess I could have got USC and Minnesota in there. It's like, but they had a really exciting game. Both of them had exciting games lake week. And then I put Indiana and Northwestern in a booze as well because it's on the lake, baby. You can't have it. You can't have a lakeside game without some booze. Come on, man. I kind of want to go to that game.
That game's gonna suck.
You mind if I come? If I go to that game, can I stay the night?
Sure.
All right, bet big. I'd
wanna
have to
see
bring
how
the
much
kids,
they're
though.
going
That's
for.
the only problem.
I'm sorry, what?
I'd have to bring the kids because my wife is out of town.
Oh, are you gonna take him to the game?
My wife's going to the Oregon-Michigan State game.
She's gonna snooze through
Those,
it.
those tickets aren't cheap.
The Northwestern ones?
Yeah. I'm seeing the cheapest one is like 144.
That's pretty
For
cheap for me.
Indiana?
That's pretty
Yeah.
cheap for me. I'm just kidding. All right. Good show, though, guys. Thanks for doing this once again. Like I said, go subscribe on YouTube if you don't mind. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday.